Hey rich friends, today we are going to be talking about budgeting. Budgeting is the first step towards building wealth. No matter how much money you make, if you don't have visibility and control about how your money is being spent and where your money is going at the end of every month, you are not going to build wealth. By taking out the time to create a budget, you are being proactive and intentional about building wealth. And if you're going to spend so much time and energy to make money, doesn't it make sense that you should care about where that money is going? If you are just getting started with budgeting, maybe you are a new student, or maybe you just experienced a major life change. Maybe you changed your jobs, maybe you moved from a different location to a new location, maybe you got married, you got divorced, you have kids, and you're just beginning to think about how to budget your money at this phase, then this video would definitely be helpful to you. When you're just getting started with anything, especially budgeting, it is very important for you to start small, to find the simplest way to do that thing. Because at the very beginning, all we care about is building and strengthening the habits of budgeting. And that's why in today's video, I'm going to give you the most basic steps, the very simple steps that you need to create an actionable budget that will help you manage your money and build wealth. There are 6 very simple steps that you need to create your first budget. Before we get started, I'm advising you to get some writing material. It could be as simple as a piece of paper. After you got that down, the first thing that you want to put down on this piece of paper is your income. So let's say that you work at a job, you get paid twice a month. Like I know some people get paid twice a month, or let's say you get paid per hour, or you get paid at the end of the month. For simplicity purposes, let's make this budget a monthly budget. So whether you get paid on a per day basis, on a per hour basis, or twice a month, add up your total income in a month and you want to put that here. So let's say that you get paid $5,000 a month. So you get paid $5,000 a month. That's your income. And to build this budget, I recommend that you pull up your bank records. So if you have a bank account, which most likely you do, on the banking app, there'll be a history. That is, it's always good to look at your actual spending history so that your budget is as accurate as possible. But in case you don't have a spending history, you don't need the banking records. You can literally begin this with, 0 records. But whatever your income is, you need to put that down there. And then the second thing you want to list out is your core expenses. So what are core expenses? Core expenses are basically needs. These are things that you need to survive. Either things you need to do your job, things you need to exist in wherever you're located in the world, right? And core expenses are typically similar with everyone, but they could be different, based on what you do for a living and where you live. But in general, I think some of the core expenses that I personally have are food. So you list down what your food expense is. I have transport. Transport will include, if you have a car, it will be fuel for you. If you don't have a car and maybe you take buses or you take trains or you take Uber to work, that's what will be in, transport. The food will include groceries. So on a weekly basis, I go to the grocery store. I buy myself, some little groceries that I use to cook my own meal. That will be in the food category. If I eat out, so maybe I have a habit of going for brunch every Sunday with my friends, that also will be under the food category, right? Snacks, ice cream, everything will be under the food category. Another core expense is rent. So this is very straightforward. Either you pay rent on a monthly basis, you pay rent on a yearly basis. Since this is a monthly budget, you want to have your monthly rent here. So if you pay rent on an annual basis, you need to divide that by 12. And then I also have another category here that is called utilities, right? So utilities will include, electricity bill, water bill, gas bill, anything that you need to keep your house functioning, in a month. Next category would be phone and internet. So most of us have phone bills that we pay, either prepaid or postpaid. If you have a pet as well, maybe you have a dog or you have a cat who has regular expenses like the food of the dog, or they need to go to the vet every month, it may be helpful for you to add another category for pets. And the last category I'm going to add here is insurance. Renter's insurance, maybe you have car insurance, you may have house insurance. Those are your core expenses. These are things that every single month you need to pay them. After you have listed them out, then put a number to it. Again, you can get a number for these categories either by looking at your historical expenses, so going into your credit card statements, going into your debit card statement, looking at how much you spent in Target last week or how much you spent on Uber last week. But if you don't have that and you're coming up with your budget for the first time, just looking at yourself, looking at your life, put a reasonable number. Food, $200, and these are just arbitrary numbers, okay? I could say transport, $100. I could say rent, say $1,500. My utilities, I could say 100, internet 50, my pet 200, and insurance 200. So my total core expenses is $2,350. Now at this stage, I'm not even going to ask you to try to cut any expenses down. The goal is for you to just be aware of where your money is going. So after you've gotten your core expenses down, the next thing that you need to do is to get your debt payment, credit card debt. You have student loans, maybe you have a car loan, or maybe you have a loan like family and friends. You want to list all that down. And then for each debt, you want to put what the minimum payment on that debt is. Missing a payment on your credit card or your student loan is bad. Do not ever do it. So when you are making your budget, you want to ensure that you've accurately accounted for whatever the minimum payment on each of these loans are. So let's say for my first credit card, the minimum payment is $200. Second one is $100. My minimum payment on my student loan, let's say I have $500 there. My car payment, I have $200, and friends and family, let's just say $50. My total debt every month comes around to $1,050. You see what we've done here? We have our income, we have our core expenses, and we have what our debt is. The fourth category you want to list down is your fun expenses. So these are wants. These are things that you can do without them. You don't need them to survive. But if you have them in your life, they make your life happier. And examples of fun expenses are subscriptions like Netflix, Apple Music, Spotify, Hulu, HBO Max. All those are examples of subscriptions. They are wants, they are not needs, but there are things that we pay for every month, right? Another type of fun expense is shopping. Summer is coming, and I have definitely been spending too much time on Zara website, so I get it, right? Shopping is a fun expense. I want to get a new dress, I need a new shoe for summer. Just like general outings, like going to the bar, hanging out with friends, going for brunch, going to restaurants. These are fun expenses, and I need you to list out anything that you do on a regular basis. The key is a regular basis. So let's say I spend $50 a month on subscriptions. I spend about $200 shopping every month, and maybe $50 going out. So my total full expenses comes down to around $300. The fifth category now is miscellaneous, right? Every month something may come up that you've not planned for, that you've not budgeted for. And this is where the miscellaneous bucket, comes in. I like to keep my miscellaneous buckets very small, so around $50 to $100. And the last category is just going to be saving. When you get your income every month and you take out all your categories of expenses, whatever is left, just put that right now in the savings bucket. Your income less expenses should give a total of 0. And this right here is your budget. Now that you have a budget, there are two things you need to keep in mind. The first one is you need to review your budget regularly. A budget is not something that you just make once a year and you abandon it for the rest of the year. No. A budget is supposed to be like a flying document, something that you review regularly. I like to look at my budget every week because I just like to track my money every week. But at the minimum, you need to be reviewing your budget every month. And I advise you to do this when you get paid. The minute you get paid, before you spend any money, develop the discipline of looking at your budget. You want to compare your actual expenses that month to what you have budgeted. And the second call out here is, in the very beginning of your budgeting journey, don't take yourself too seriously. Give yourself grace. You may find that in the first few months, you are not spending in alliance with your budget. You may be going over your budget or even spending beneath your budget, and that is totally okay. In the very beginning, when you're just getting started budgeting, the goal is not for your actual expenses to match exactly with your budget. The goal is for you to be aware of your budget. It's going to take you at least 3 to 6 months of tracking your expenses, making your budget, and reviewing your budget for you to create a budget that has a zero margin of error. Reward yourself just for creating the budget and reviewing it regularly. I'm sure that this video was helpful for you. If you like this video, you definitely like my video about the core lesson that I learned for building wealth, and I'll link that up here, and see you in the next video. Bye.